This is our homily for Sunday, March 17th. Because I will be in Racine with the candidates this weekend, I'm repeating a homily from the past. One time, when I was serving at a church in the Phoenix area, my elderly mother flew out to visit me from the East Coast. When it was getting near time for Sunday Mass to start, she walked from the rectory to the church, where she was greeted by an usher who warmly welcomed her and asked where she would like to sit. "Front pew, please," she answered. You really don't want to do that," the usher said. "Father Paul is very boring." "Do you know who I am?" asked my mother. "No," the usher replied. "I am Father Paul's mother," she replied indignantly. "Do you know who I am?" the usher asked. "No," she replied. "Good," he said. And unfortunately, her eyes weren't good, so she couldn't pick him up in a line-out. Once 4 pizza parlors opened within the same month on the same block in New York City. Competition for survival was strong. One owner, in an attempt to gain business, posted a large sign, "We serve the best pizza in the city." Another tried to one-up him by claiming, "We serve the best pizza in the country." The third rose to the challenge with, "The best pizza in the world is served here." The fourth owner was an enterprising woman who finally posted her sign. It read, "We serve the best pizza on this block." The realism of her claim won her many customers, and her shop thrived. We are halfway through Lent. How are we doing with our resolutions? Better than with New Year's resolutions? How can we be more realistic, like the woman in the story who took on the block, not the city, the country, or the world? I thought about being realistic as I prepared for the reconciliation service we will have this Tuesday evening. I have been hearing confessions here at Pius for 11 years and 37 other years before that. It is clear from my own spiritual life and the lives of others that from year to year the sins remain the same. Those who were judgmental and unkind last year are usually judgmental and unkind this year. Once this pattern is identified, it's only logical to ask, how good are we as Christians? Can we make honest claims to be followers of Christ? The answer in these questions depends upon how we choose to define success as disciples. Pablo Casals was arguably the finest cellist in history. At the age of 93, he would still practice on his cello 5 to 6 hours a day. When one of his friends asked him, "Pablo, why at your age do you still practice so much?" he answered simply, "Because I believe I am making progress." Being a disciple of Jesus does not mean that we have achieved perfection. We won't in this life. It means we're making progress. And the progress we make most probably will not be earth-shattering. It can occur in small steps. That is what is so encouraging in Jesus' words in today's gospel. We know that Jesus sacrificed and died so that we can live. We also know that we are called to follow his example and to sacrifice and die to self through good works and avoiding sin. However, when Jesus puts the challenge before us, he does so with a very consoling image. He says, "Unless the grain of wheat falls into the earth and dies, it remains a single grain of wheat. But if it dies, it produces much fruit. To tell us that we must sacrifice and change, Jesus uses the image of a very small thing, a single grain of wheat. By this image, he tells us that our sacrifice need not be huge, that our dying isn't instantaneous, that our growth can occur in little steps. To be a disciple, we do not have to reach a state where we can claim that we never lose our patience. We only need to be a little more patient than we were last year. To follow Jesus, we do not have to achieve a generosity and simplicity to rival St. Francis of Assisi. We only need to be more generous than we used to be. In following Christ's example, we do not need to possess a perfect love, which never judges another or speaks an unkind word. We only need to have a love which is growing rather than shrinking, expanding rather than turning inward. Realistically, a disciple is one who is making progress, and it would be wise to set our goals accordingly. So do not say, I will never lose my temper again. Just try to be patient with your spouse, your children, your parents for one day, for a half a day, for a few hours. That is a step in the right direction. Do not say, I will never judge another person or close my mind to a new idea. Just single out one occasion in which you truly try to listen, in which you take in the truth that another is trying to offer you. That would be genuine growth. Do not say, I will be totally selfless and think only of others. Just find one person in need or trouble and put yourself out so that that person knows that someone cares. That would be the single grain of wheat falling to the ground and bearing fruit, and it will lead to more growth. Being a disciple does not mean we have achieved perfection. It means that we're making progress. You do not need to be the holiest person here at St. Pius X. You only need to take a step closer to becoming the person God calls you to be. So the reflection I invite us to, are my spiritual goals realistic? Are they goals that can be reached step by step? And am I planning those steps that will help me grow and following through? What do I need to do to make these last weeks of Lent more fruitful than the first? What mustard seed do I have to plant? God bless.